confidence that only comes from knowing you are fully sorted, to show up for you just when you need a hand. And when retirement comes with all its worries and storms, to ensure we will stand by you and give you the coverage that you deserve. Make the perfect choice. Choose PAL Pensions today.
PAL Pensions, your pal for life.
Dear countrymen and women, the election is over and we have exercised our civic rights. Now is the time for this country to move forward in unity and harmony.
Harassing or bullying one another on social media will only promote disunity, disorder, and retrogression. Let us avoid it and embrace peace.
It is every citizen's duty to respect and protect individual civic rights. Please don't write or post any untrue or defamatory stories about individuals or groups online.
Let us always join hands and voice out against misinformation and disinformation, curbing and discouraging the spread of fake news.
Our children are the future of this great country. They need to be involved in learning about their civic duties, rights, and responsibilities in a cultural manner. We can create an atmosphere for meaningful and sustainable development in peace and unity.
This message is from
New beginnings are always colorful. When we celebrate the start of life's journey, we marry in colors. With our proudly Nigerian Dulux paints, now available in any color. Express your world however you want it. Visit a Dulux Color Center to get any color instantly.
Dulux, let's color.
National Institute for Security.
Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, yes, the voice you heard is that of Mike Ejiofor, former director with the SSS. But you have another one. I'm trying to remember that.
I'm the president of Alumni Association, National Institute for Security Studies.
Okay, so and that makes it apt for, because part of what we want to look at now is the security component of what to expect from this Tinubu presidency. We've seen some announcement of key men, yes, you can call them that, of course. The ones that will be subsequently appointed will equally be key, because that's why he's choosing them, because he thinks that they will be good enough to help him pilot the affairs of this country. But right away, if you just jump into this, you've seen some of the announcements made. And in fact, I don't know why there's a lot of conversation about that security bit, but look, what do you think about the appointment of Mr. Ribadu?
Well, I think it's a new office. It's not been existing. So maybe the president perhaps wants somebody close to him to look at the security issues instead of going through the whole hog of, the bureaucracy of going through the DG, NSA. Maybe you need somebody to be coordinating or collecting his reports and be briefed on a daily basis. That's what I think.
Okay, so should there be, I mean, all the kind of conversations that are making the rounds, people seem to be wondering if the policeman, is he going to be superintending over military personnel? So all of that conversation, I mean, to the general public, they may just wonder, the president wants results.
That is the public domain because it was not specific. I believe the president is still going to make an appointment of national security advisor.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think.
So in that regard, what do you expect?
The NSA will still coordinate. I think he wants to do some reforms, some restructuring kind of, for more effective. We've been doing the same thing, the same way, and getting the same result.
So now to change things.
I think it's strategic.
So regarding the NSA, if you had to change things, what would you advise or expect that he should do?
Well, it's a constitutional right to appoint a national security advisor. Of course, his duty is to coordinate all the agencies. So he must look very deeply, in appointing the national security advisor. But if he decides to use the security advisor as necessary, it's his prerogative, as long as results are achieved. And so far, like you said, the appointments made so far and reactions from people, it's encouraging. But don't also forget that even though there was a lot of delay in appointments under Buhari, people were talking of body language. I hope it doesn't end on body language now.
Would there be anything wrong if the president chooses to appoint someone to be NSA other than the military personnel?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. His prerogative is at liberty to appoint who he thinks can serve him better.
I've been looking at some of the conversation that has been going on around the appointment that the president made yesterday and around the security, particularly around the office of the Special Advisor on Security, which you have admitted is new. Nobody has quite heard of a Special Advisor on Security before. And if indeed the job of the person is to coordinate the affairs or to be his ears, amongst the security agents and the question, or the agencies, the question then will be what will be the work of the NSA? And now some people have said, there is nowhere that stipulates that the president has to appoint a national security advisor. That has just been something that has been traditionally done by presidents. I don't know what your thinking is on this.
Well, the most important thing for Nigerians is result. How he wants to go about it, nobody cares, as long as there's security in the country.
Really?
If he wants to appoint a national security advisor, he will define his duties. He has a security advisor now. He will also define his duties for him, his responsibilities and schedules. So I think he's trying to, by my thinking, to create some division of labor, making personal contact, with somebody he trusts very much. Because you believe, he has a long-standing relationship with Ribadu, having contested under ACN, presidential candidate. So he must have his reason.
It'll be interesting to see how the following days pan out, especially when you look at what has happened at the beginning of this administration, the rivalry we saw between the DSS and the EFCC, and the president constantly hammering on the need for security agencies to work together, talking about harmony. Now, there have been questions in recent times as to why it is that everybody that has been suspended is being grilled by the DSS, including the newly suspended chairman of the EFCC, who's being grilled by the DSS. And there's been questions as to, with this rivalry which we saw earlier, will he be getting a fair level of investigation within? You're chuckling over it.
His former DSS.
I know. Almost the wrong person to ask. But what do? We have to ask him. Do you think that the service which you formerly served will be able to, fairly do a fair job, considering the rivalry that we've seen between the EFCC and the DSS?
You know why I'm laughing?
Why?
There's no rivalry. There's no rivalry between the SSS and the EFCC.
So why is the president constantly hammering on harmony?
He was just addressing all the security agencies, not necessarily SSS and EFCC.
Then what was that fight we saw at Ikoyi?
Well, if you must push me that way.
I am pushing you that way.
Yes, let's go.
See, the truth is that I think the PRO issued a statement to that effect. The truth is that the SSS accommodated the EFCC as a sister agency. I personally, we started the NSO from 15 Awolowo Road. That has been our headquarters. Now, there have been correspondence, between the EFCC and the SSS for them to vacate because they need to use that place. And, immediately the SSS also said, you people must go because they have not listened to it.
And that's what we see on the screen right now.
The EFCC chairman came to appeal to the DG. So I don't see any rancor. Possibly...
Look at this, Mr. Joffo. This...
Taking over,
the
firing guns. You said there's no rancor.
Work together.
Firing guns?
Oh, yes.
The shot incident.
Recorded firing guns.
Yes, journalists who went there.
Maybe you have
journalists who went there had to run back when they approached the gate, and there was firing into the air to, you know, like scare them or chase them away.
Well, I wasn't there. You are telling me now.
Yes, and I'm telling you what they are.
You were not there.
I do not consider the accounts from our correspondents hearsay.
You didn't hear it?
I didn't.
Were you in another studio granting an interview when that happened? Okay, well, let's go to Lagos now, because as a matter of fact, you know, we just had another perspective on this matter, so we'll go back and forth.
Other part of the question.
Yes.
Okay.
The SSS is charged with investigating crimes against the state. As we speak, this includes, of course, you know, espionage, sabotage, subversion, terrorism, insurgency, and the rest of them. That is the statutory function of the SSS. So whether Magu will get a fair hearing or not, Bawa, sorry, will get a fair hearing or not, that is guaranteed. Because the SSS, as far as I know, without sounding immodest, will always give you the benefit of the doubt.
Interesting. What about... Oh, perhaps we should take that. We should go to
Lagos now. You will hear what our guest in Lagos does think of this matter. Guys.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. Mr. Sonny Osai-Raboy is here with us. He's a security consultant. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, I don't want to get into, I don't know if you want to get into the conversation about the EFCC-SSS and the DSS. But, you know, the statement of the president about what he intends to do with security is very interesting. A number of people will say, he said, and I quote, "Security shall be the top priority of our administration because neither prosperity nor justice can prevail amidst insecurity and violence." But this is the catch for me. We shall reform both our security doctrine and its architecture. A number of people haven't heard that before. Yeah. Some security, consultants such as yourself think we should pay attention to his dichotomy of security doctrine and security architecture. What will change?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate our president. He has taken the right step in the right direction. He has hit the ground running, like some people will say. We are beginning to see the difference between the architecture, security architecture, and what do you call it?
Security doctrine.
The doctrine. Hitherto, there was never anything like special advisor on security. It has always been special advisors in other areas, but definitely not on security. And when you are talking about issues of special advisors, you pick a special advisor based on people you understand very well and equally understand you, as opposed to the position of a minister or the national security advisor, which oftentimes is often determined by political considerations. Now, if he's talking about the dichotomy now, he has appointed a security advisor in the person of Ribadu. Security advisor.
Special advisor
on security in the person of Ribadu. He has known Ribadu for some time. They've come a long way. Ribadu has contested under the platform in which he was the leader of the party. And haven't had that relationship. It will be easier for him to deal with somebody of that line, as opposed to the national security advisor, who may have a different thinking as opposed to that of the president. So that is the beginning of it. I believe that's what he wants to do. It is not just about the bureaucratic aspect of it. It's about getting to the nitty-gritty of it, understanding who can read your lips, who you can call at the tick of the night, who you sleep and wake with.
In terms of security, there are those who are also say that this whole idea of state-centric as opposed to citizen-centric security apparatus is also of concern. The 2019 security document produced by the Office of the National Security Advisor in 2019 said something like that there's going to be more focus on citizens as opposed to protecting the states. We're going to protect the citizens. Do you think between 2019 and now anything changed?
Nothing has changed. It is more of paperwork. The security we have seen had been more of the protection of the state than the citizen. Ideally, the citizens make up the state. But what we have seen in Nigeria has been a situation in which security is meant for the high and the mighty, the lower ones for all the care. We saw it happen in Lekki. We saw it happen in several areas. The man who wields the power, if he's coming, they don't really mind. Many people can be mowed down for the sake of one man. So if the document had been prepared, it is only good on paper. It has not been translated to what you and I can feel. And I hope this government will dust up the paper and work on it for the benefit of all of us. He said yesterday that they begged to be elected. So if they begged to be elected, it means power belongs to the people. If the power belongs to the people, automatically state security now. Security should be more about the people.
If my memory serves me right, another counter-terrorism document was launched, under the last administration, under the leadership also of the former NSA, Babagana Monguno. But looking at the nomenclature of this office, new office, National Security Advisor, those close to the corridors of power in the past have said that, perhaps this is a placeholder role for the office of the National Security Advisor. But considering the fact that still the president has to appoint someone to the office of the National Security Advisor because it's constitutionally backed, do you see that this may not necessarily solve that problem of rivalry between the police force and the military in terms of who tackles internal security?
Well, you and I were aware that the first line of security in the country is the police. You and I see the police on a daily basis. The soldiers, or the military as it were, their place of operation, it's often restricted. Protection of the territorial integrity. As for the police, on a daily basis, you can relate with them. There is no way conflict will not arise, especially in a situation where the military hangover, military mentality, the military had been in government, and they have been able to use their power, as it were, to suppress the police so much. And they have almost taken over the responsibility of the police. But I believe that somebody in President Tinubu's shoe, he has seen a lot. He's an experienced man. He called himself the city boy. The connotation, my own connotation of city boy, is a man who has seen, an experienced man. He's been on the street. He has been in the trenches. He knows what the soldiers have done, and he knows what the police. And I believe that he will be able to bring his experience to bear on this rivalry, as it were.
Mr. Ejiofor, I wonder if you have any contrary thoughts to the same thinking about whether Mr. Ribadu will eventually take up the office of National Security Advisor, whether it's a placeholder, and if not, do you see, the supremacy battle that we always see between that office and the service chiefs in the long term in tackling internal security?
Well, we're all discussing the realm of speculation until the president comes out clearly on what he intends to achieve will not be categorical in making any statement. But for me, as a person, I believe very strongly that if you have a special advisor on security and you have another office of national security, there is bound to be conflict in their functions and discharge of their responsibilities. So how the president intends to harmonize the two functions, or they are giving specific functions, or the office of the NSA is scrapped. Until that is done, we don't know. You remember, before this time, like I said, to the best of my knowledge and memory, we've not had a special advisor to the president before on security. Before the office of the NSA, we had, under the military, coordinator of national security, office of the coordinator of national security. But when the NSA was created, that one was dropped. So that's the much I know.
But Mr. Jofo, it's actually been pointed out to us that, in fact, there had been 2 SA security before now, under President Shagari, Dr. Buka Shoaib and Professor Shehu Galadanchi. They were called special advisor and so on security, so that they've actually been there before. That's
I'm not. I'm saying to the one I know.
Okay, but we also understand that we also been pointed out to us that actually too that the law, our constitution doesn't even mention specifically the position of NSA. That in section 1512 it talks about special advisors, and so if he has come up with this appointment of Madam Ribadu as special advisor, that I think that might just be it. In fact, some also think we shouldn't even expect possibly an NSA. That who knows, if he decides to stick with this one, that he may be correct from the point of law.
So where is he going to operate from? To scrap the office of the NSA?
Is it recognized by the law if he's special advisor? So, and if Madam Ribadu fills that position, what happens?
We shouldn't go into all these semantics. For me, all we want, how do we solve our security challenges? That is my major concern.
Which is the concern.
It's a major problem.
It's a concern of every single Nigerian that the country be safe. But we also know that that special advisors traditionally have cabinet status.
Yes.
We also know that the National Security Advisor is a member of the cabinet.
Yes.
Now, if 2 of them, assuming there are 2 separate offices, you know, have cabinet status and are present at the Federal Executive Council meeting, who exactly?
Who takes precedence?
Exactly. Who would the president be listening to?
I believe the president will solve that problem.
Assuming it were one. I mean, assuming it were going to be a problem.
It's a problem already.
Because some people are asking, has the NSA been relieved of his job? If he has, is he aware?
We cannot answer that question here. Neither you nor myself can answer that question. But I believe that since Mr. President had decided to carry out some minor restructuring, if you may, or reshuffle to achieve his result, he must have thought it through. You know, this is the best way I will achieve a result.
The results, okay. Well, because some people have also raised, you know, the fact that, I mean, the appointment of an NSA, there have been questions as to whether a former policeman can be the person who occupies that office. Let me take this question to Lagos and ask our guest if he has a separate perspective on whether he thinks the current NSA, if there is a current NSA, still has his job.
Yes, the Constitution is clear about it. I think the 3rd schedule, it talks about the constitution of the National Security Council and those who will constitute it. One, it talks about the president, it talks about the vice president, it talks about the minister for external affairs, that is foreign minister for foreign affairs. It talks about the minister for internal affairs and national security advisor. So there is still the need for, the Constitution is clear. There is no ambiguity about it. I said it at the beginning that if Mr. President had decided to have a special advisor on security, that is for his own kitchen cabinet. Let me put it in quote. But the Constitution still has to be respected. The Constitution talks about the place of the National Security Advisor. Are we going to throw it away? If we are talking about...
The National
security advisor.
Do you think a national security advisor, if the president has a special advisor whom he trusts, who's going to be a part of his kitchen cabinet, and you also have the office of the national security advisor, do you think that that person could be undermined, whatever advice the national security, after is an advisor to, could be given, could be undermined by what the special advisor on security is? I mean, this is really tongue-twisted.
Okay.
Could be given.
Let's look at it this way. We've had Minister for Finance and then Special Advisor on Economy and Finance. We've had dual positions in which there will be a Minister for Political Affairs, no, Minister for Economic Affairs, and the President will still have a minister, an advisor on economic matters. They don't clash. It depends on the president now. His ability to separate the functions of the two. Two of them are of cabinet level. Two of them are equally responsible to him. So it depends on how he breaks down the function of each of his advisors. So that's my take on it.
Mr. Jeffo, do you think that there needs to be proper clarity on this from the president? Do you think that Nigerians deserve an explanation, not this speculation, you know, or do you think that really both of them can coexist and there's no need for any explanation?
There's a lot of explanation to make. Otherwise, there will be conflict. We should not deceive ourselves. It's either you abide by the Constitution, appoint an NSA, or elevate Ribadu to NSA, or restructure to make him a special advisor on security, doing away with the office of the National Security Advisor.
Let me read this, because if you say there's going to be confusion. Section 151. The president may appoint any person as a special advisor to assist him in the performance of his functions. 2. The number of such advisors and their remuneration and allowances shall be as prescribed by law or by resolution of the National Assembly. Any appointment made pursuant to the provisions of this section shall be at the pleasure of the president and shall cease when the president ceases to hold office. If he says, I want special advisors, which he sent to the National Assembly, they approve for him, and he gets special advisor on security, why did he say that he has to have an NSA?
No. I'm not saying he has a prerogative to appoint, but there's bound to be conflict if the office of the NSA is still existing and the special advisor. Who takes precedence? The security agencies, who do they report to? Do they report to the office of the NSA as constitutionally guaranteed, or they report to special advisor? No,
but you also know that there's been a huge controversy on that, because the security chiefs have always maintained that they do not report to the NSA, and they report directly to the president.
Commander-in-Chief.
The commander-in-chief who appoints them.
True, but he coordinates the security.
Indeed, he coordinates them. So if the job of a national security advisor is to coordinate, then why can't a special advisor coordinate?
Then what would the NSA be doing?
Well, that might be something in the days ahead where the president might speak about, because I know
that's what I'm saying. We don't need to overflog this issue until the president comes out clearly with their functions and responsibilities.
Well, maybe he may expect us to read between the lines for what he's done. So, but you also do remember when that scenario between the DSS and the police, which Amankwe referenced, and we saw the visuals on TV, the president immediately issued a statement and said, work together.
Yes.
Vacate here and then do things together. He had a meeting with the security chiefs and said, work together, not at cross purposes. He's met several security, even traditional chiefs. Security is key. So clearly, he wants synergy. He wants things to be done properly. So from what we're seeing now, it does appear as though, as he also said in his speech, which my colleagues in Lagos also mentioned, clearly, look, it appears as though he will give this direction. And so maybe in the days ahead, if he says, okay, look, this is what I want, whether there's going to be an NSA or not, if I have an advisor on security, it may be what
I entirely agree with the decision of the president. But while advising the security agent, you agree with me also that synergy has improved a lot over time, you know, with the security agencies. They have been working together. But since he has come, maybe he has also seen, before this time, he has observed some lapses in lack of synergy, and that's why he's been hammering on it. But this introduction now is going to bring more problems than synergy.
Well, Mr. Jofo, I don't know. We just talked about the office of the special advisor, but then there is a statutory role of national security advisor. Let me ask you that, Mr. Erabo. So I wouldn't even want to, you know, go into that conundrum. Let the president
provide the clarification.
No, not live by the Constitution, which is the statutory roles superimpose themselves over any other, you know, that will come to his whims and caprice. But my own issue is that of the synergy of all the security agencies, from the borders, you know, the ports, the police in the system, the DMI, the SSS, the police, all of them. How should that synergy happen? Hitherto, we've seen a situation where, I mean, as we cited earlier, there's always been that kind of conflict. How do we bring them all together to know that ultimately, as you said earlier, it's to secure Nigerians as opposed to just the state or the government?
Well, the president has given us, this is part of the campaign promises he made. And in his maiden speech on the day he was inaugurated, he said one of his major pillars is going to be security. And if it is going to be security, you can't have a result, a good result, when people at different edges working at cross purposes. He is an experienced politician. He's been around for decades. And he has seen mistakes being done by previous administration. And he has campaigned on this. I will expect him to be able to put round pegs in round hole, and to be able to bring them. First of all, he has had a meeting with them to tell them there is a need for all of you to work together for the sake of Nigeria.
The previous government, the president said the same thing, brought them all together more than once, more than twice, asking them to synergize. Yet we had this discordance that we talked about in the previous government. He has also emphasized that. What's the assurance that this time something will change?
Well, I have said this repeatedly. He's an experienced man. And one thing I will expect him to do, when you have a people who have been working in a garden, for example, and the flowers are not being tended to in an appreciable way, what you do is to change the gardeners. It is high time the president puts his feet down. This is the time. These people have served. They've served well, in quote now, depending on which side of the divide you stand. They've served well. Let him relieve them. Let us have fresh hands on board.
Well,
and it will be easier. It will be easier for him to call them and say, look, these ones have already known the terrain. They are like people. Let me use the local parlance. They don't chop wish. These ones are fresh. And then you can tell them, read the Riot Act to them again, and then make it emphatic.
Well, that character is yet to be seen of this current president. But let me quickly get this one in, and I appreciate it if you can answer very briefly. I'm still concerned about the conundrum, you know, particularly as it relates to Ayo's question about synergy. And there's been concerns that, you know, even the office of the Special Advisor on Security can be higher in ranking than that of the NSA because, you know, the individual ticks the boxes on relationship, you know, and confidence that we've talked about this category of appointments. So are you concerned that if this is the case, it could bring us back to that issue of discordance that we're talking about?
Well, Mr. Jofo said one thing, and I think I agree with him on that note, that it is the president. He is the leader. He should know how to organize his house.
Okay.
He takes the responsibility, the boss stops on the table. Issue of rivalry will always occur. In a place where everybody is fighting for a piece of the where there is no discipline, they call themselves, I'm sorry to say this, there are some attitude of the people in the middle that leaves so much to be desired. This is a time in which the Riot Act has to be read louder.
I think you already even capped that when you said that the president has to call the service chiefs together and tell them whatever needs to be done so that they can all work together. It's an ongoing conversation, most certainly, and it's something that we'll play on more and more. Sonny Osa Irabo, thank you so much for your thoughts this morning.
Thank you very much.
He's a security consultant. Guys.
Yes, please. And then I know they've been bombarding us with different parts of the law here. Even Section 1531, which says there should be established for the Federation the following bodies. It went on to K. What I see here is National Security Council, just to put it out there. But, Mr. Jaffa, we couldn't even say the initial agenda. But
maybe some other time.
It's understandable. I mean, if these appointments are made, people just need to fall in line. So, and he's also said, if there's any obstacle in us moving the country forward, they will be removed. So, but moving forward, what do you expect from security for the president?
Well, for security is based on unity of the country. The country must be unified, first of all. Let us remain as Nigerians. The president must work on the unity of this country to bring everybody together, all dissenting voices. From there, we can take it up.
All right, we have to thank you very much indeed, Michael Jofo, former director, SSS, also president, Alumni Association of National Institute of Security Studies. This is an association of all security agencies.
All the armed forces, all the regulatory agencies and paramilitary services.
So there can be no confusion, right?
No confusion. We're working together.
All right, thank you for coming on today, sir.